Hello. So today we are going to talk about the seventh chord inversions, and we have three inversions: the first, the second, and the third. And I know it looks very complicated, but it will soon not be. Here I've just gone ahead and I just would like to remind you what we worked on in our last class. So we are in C major and we have the dominant seventh chord and its resolution. So just a quick reminder, we have obviously the third, the fifth, and we have added the seventh of the chord. So in C major, our dominant is G major and its seventh is F. So can someone remind me where is the F going to be resolved? Yeah.
The F resolves stepwise downwards to E.
To E, yes. And I'm going to play it for you once so that we just have it in our ears again. Everything we play today is in C major, so this is the dominant seven. And as we talked in our previous class also, this chord creates the tension that needs to be resolved. So, in our three inversions, actually we keep exactly the same chords. It's the way they are written that changes. And the first inversion, similar with the regular chord inversions, we have as our first note the third and not the root. So we have the third, which again in a G major seventh chord is the B, we have the D, we have the root, and we have the seventh too. And this is getting resolved to the tonic, and I'm going to play it for you. So there are many ways of writing the rest of the chord, but we have always to make sure that we include the seventh, we don't forget the seventh, and that in the first inversion we have the third as the root of this chord, and the name of this chord is dominant 6-5, so 6-5, we completely ignore the 3, so and we keep the 5 and the 6, which are the intervals between the root note of the chord and the rest of the notes. We move on to the dominant, the second inversion of the dominant, the 4-3. And again, the notes stay the same. It is the way we write them that matters. In this time, in the G major 7 chord, we have as the root of this chord the fifth. And we have the D, we have the G, we have the B, and then we have also the seventh, which we never forget. And then we have its resolution. And I'm going to play it for you too. And on the last, the third inversion, we actually have the seventh at the bottom, and then the rest of the chord, the G, the B, and the D, written on top of it. And here we need to take special attention because the 4-2, which is the third inversion, always gets resolved in the tonic, but the tonic is on first inversion because the F has to go to E. It cannot jump down to C, it cannot go up to the G, it has to go down to the E. And I'm going to play that for you too. And obviously we are going to work a lot on these chords and we are going to get more and more aware of how to resolve them. We are going to work on a lot of exercises, and we are going in our next class to actually get composers examples and how they use these chords. But as for now, our first exercise would be listen to all these three inversions and note if there is any change like in the spacing, if there is any change like which for you sounds more dense, and if none of them does, that is fine too. So I'm playing once again the first inversion. The second inversion. And the third inversion. Any comments?
I have a quick question.
Yeah?
So even if the chord is inverted 6/5 or 4/3 or 4/2, the seventh, the F always goes down to E, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is actually how, especially like for this chord, we have to remember that the resolution is on the first inversion, because for me a very practical trick is always to resolve the F first to make sure it goes down and then everything else. And actually we can keep working. Here is a C major dominant 7, so you can write it down and start. Do not resolve it, just build all the three inversions of the seventh chord. Ryan, do you want to come and to work together and do the first inversion?
Sure.
So please tell me first which is the root of the chord, the third, the fifth, and the seventh.
So the root would be the C, the third would be E, fifth G, and then the seventh B flat.
Okay, so for the first inversion, which note do you think first?
The first inversion I think is going to be E, or the third. And then following would be the fifth G, then the seventh B flat, and then the C.
Yay! Good job. Yukina, do you want to come for the second inversion?
So for the second inversion, you're starting with G instead. So G and then B flat, and then C, and then E. Yes, yes. 4, 3.
Do you want also to do the third inversion since you are here?
Okay, so instead of everything else, we are starting with B flat. B flat, and then just building the chord up, C, E, G. 5, 4, 2.
All right, great. And here is the trick, because I know you're wondering why do we need to know all these inversions. And this is one of the things like very much classical composers doing, like Mozart. In classical harmony and in classical period, they really wanted to build nice melodies on top of the soprano voice and nice melodies on the bass whenever they could. So let's say that they wanted, we are again in C majors, they wanted to have like this bass. So it's C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. And like, again, they would not use different, they would change the chords, but they were trying to use as much as the dominant tonic relation, because that stabilizes the key more, of course, and also It's like it creates the most of the tension and resolution. Very simple. So they could do is like they keep the tonic and then they use the second inversion of the dominant seventh chord with the D. And then they can use an E and the first inversion. And then we have the F on the bass, and this is the third inversion, so they have to be like this. And then unfortunately I have to go down again because this F needs to be resolved in the E, it's in the bass. And then so I can build my bass in a very nice way and just use two chords and try to create a different sound result. And when you think about it, when you have a full orchestra or you have a big ensemble, how many possibilities those composers had and where to move. And that is something that's happening a lot in pop music and in jazz music. So as the assignment for our class, you can bring also a pop song or a jazz song if you want and work on the inversions.